40 for Raidable Crest Titans.
After a strange year of very little motorsport, it's great to see the return of events and championships again here in 2021, isn't it? And the all-wheel drive Britpart Pioneer Safari Championship would be one of the first to return, as crews headed to Bickley in Devon for the opening round of this year's series. There's a great selection of crews out for this one, a number of people all capable of a victory this weekend. The action then would be hot on the course in more ways than one. Let's just hope that everyone can remember what to do. So here we go, 10 runs await the crews today over this 3.5 mile course, and with the lack of recent rain and the sun shining, hard ground and dust were likely to play a part in the story today. We're on to the first few runs of the day then, and it will be the early lead for Jason Rowlands, taking a small, but at this stage welcomed advantage of 11 seconds at the end of the third run. For Mark Hones, it will be second place for now. The time lost would have been on the opening run of the day. After that, he'd only be a single second slower than Rowlands each time out of the blocks. Third at this stage will be the second of the Rowlands, Paul, putting in some good times to take that final step on the podium for now. He'd actually been fastest on the opening run by just a second. The pace was certainly there. There were problems though early on for Chris Cumming and Fraser Parrier. They end the opening run with a broken rear hub. The race will be on to get it sorted and get back out to do some more runs. For now, they lie third in Class 5. There'd be a new co-driver this weekend for Mike Bakewell. His usual co-driver now had her own car, so it will be Will Howe guiding him around this season. The pair start well with the lead in Class 9, 5th place on the overall leaderboard. And Bruce Mallet and Adam Beard would get held up a few times this morning with a slower crew in front of them. The crew rejoining after problems at that. They still put in some good times though, ending the morning 5th in Class 9, 6th place overall. Behind them would be Stuart Williams. There was around a minute's gap at the moment, but the run times were coming down lap by lap. 5th in class for Williams now as well. Cy Badge would have a new engine for the season. A couple of class wins last season would prove that the pace was there. He will be leading Class 7 again this weekend. Frustratingly, a power steering issue preventing his event going any further than his point. It wouldn't be the best of starts for Bruce Tigwell either. A little lower down the leaderboard than normally would have been expected, but it was simply being put down to time out of the seat and just getting back into things. Don't we all feel like that at the moment? Things were going okay though overall. The times likely to come down as the day went on. 9th place overall, 2nd place in Class 9 at this stage. It could be described as a solid start. And rounding out the top 10 would be this man, Darryl Hardy. Mary-Ann Cannon alongside. They were feeling the effects of the dry conditions on this rough course though, but a great start from the pair in the lead of Class 6 nevertheless. There may have been some who were not enjoying the conditions out there, but there were some who were. For Tyler Skelly and Connor Maddock, it would be an enjoyable start to the event. They lie just outside our top 10 in 11th overall, 2nd in Class 7, and pleased to be back out and competing. Behind them in the class would be Gary Bully, 3rd in Class 7, a little way back from those up ahead, so he may not be able to gain a place without issues up ahead, but that is not to be ruled out in this game, is it? And for Roger Baker, it would be 2nd in Class 6. Times on the course had improved by over a minute on the first 3 runs, so things were looking good if he could keep improving into the rest of the runs. This weekend here in Devon would be a debut for the new car for Kieran Jones and Lewis Thomas. freshly finished, so the first run would be effectively the shakedown. There hasn't been much chance for that with lockdowns, has there? A few teething problems to be expected perhaps, but nothing to worry about overall for now. They lead Class 4. Just a couple of crews to keep an eye on in the first class, Class 1, and leading the way there would be Adrian Beer, the times already opening up after the day's 3 runs. Luke Dodds will be second in that class, a new co-driver for this weekend in Andrew James. Limited experience navigating didn't seem to be causing much of a problem though. The pair were happy with their times so far. Great to see everyone having so much fun out on the course this weekend. Philippa and James Tennant wouldn't be having a great run though as far as the results were concerned. Struggling to find the grip a few times, but it would be a broken ball joint causing the most problems. Clipping a bank, rolling the car onto its side. They'd have a rush now to get things repaired and get back out.
Yeah, ours has just been a complete mechanical fault. We've had the ball joints dropped out the wishbone, so we lost steering, ended up on our side. Caused the marshals a bit of bother really trying to get us out. We basically can put it back together, it's just we haven't got a spare CV boot, so we've been lent a couple of shafts that are already set up, and we're hoping one of those is going to fit so that we can at least get a couple more runs in.
For Di Paul, Hanson Phillips, it would be second place in Class 4 at this stage. Catching our class leaders wouldn't be an option on times alone, so he'd just have to keep putting in the times to see what happened up ahead. And Margaret Bakewell and Tish Bradley would be a new pairing for this season. Having co-driven for husband Mike up until now, this would be her first time switching to the driving seat. It was taking some getting used to, but for now, it would be 4th in Class 7 and big smiles. This would only be the second time out in the car for Owen and Rhys Timms, having not previously raced for 10 years. Unfortunately, they would get stuck on a tree in the opening run, getting a maximum, but the times on the clean runs were looking a little better. For Alex Rousel, it would be 3rd in Class 6 at this stage. A little cautious, he'd be the first to admit, on the first run of the day, but the times levelled out after that, the pace was showing. So with 3 runs complete, the results at the top here at the first round of the 2021 season. How good does it feel to say that? Look like this.
Really looking forward to this new season coming. Hopefully 2021 will it's got to be better than last year, obviously, because nothing ran, but 2019 was a great year for the club, so we're hoping to do better this year. We've got some fresh sponsors on with Pioneer 4x4. We'd like to thank Joe, obviously Britpart, who have always been there supporting us, as the main championship sponsor. They're back this year, so we're hoping just to really have a really successful year. We've got Walters next, and there's some new venues on for this year as well, which is really looking forward to. And we've got a new truck that we're testing this one out for today as well, and we're just really hoping to do better than last season, really.
Here we go then, on to the second part of the day. Sadly, we lose our event leader Jason Rowlands after what was shaping up to be a decent fight as well. He'd only get through the 4th run of the day before having to call it an early ban. That, of course, means we've got change at the top and indeed throughout the leaderboard, with Mark Hones jumping into that number 1 spot now. But that wasn't something to take for granted. The car was currently missing runs while it was being worked out to find a fault. So it will be a rush to get those repairs done and get the car back out to finish in time to keep that lead. We may have lost 1 Rowlands, but the results would still have Paul chasing for the win in 2nd place, the second of our Rowlands here at round 1. He'd be dropping back by around 10 seconds a run, but with Hones repairing the car and about to play catch-up, it was still anyone's event to win here.
Yeah, it's going all right, going well. First meeting back for the year. Having some power steering issues because our ground is like concrete. Because I have to put 2 steering quickeners in the buggy. The power steering pump can't keep up, so I'm having to reset the steering all the time. It's losing me a bit of time, but yeah, happy enough.
And with the car now fixed, it will be 3rd place overall for Chris Cumming and Fraser Parrier. They were playing catch-up now. The time's good. All they needed to do was make sure they finished all of the runs in the time allowed, and get their boot down.
Not too bad. We're just going for a finish now, really. We thought we had to give up this morning. We broke a hub on the first lap. We were lucky to get back on the first lap, but luckily a chap called Doug, I forget his surname, was really kind and lent us a hub so we can carry on. So anything now is a bonus, really. We're just cruising to get finish.
A puncture on run 4 would lose Mike Bakewell and Will Howe a little time. Thankfully for them, not enough to drop them down the results. And of course, with the loss of Rowlands from the lead, they've moved up to 4th place now. Stuart Williams would actually gain 2 places. A great couple of runs, moving him up to 5th overall now, 3rd in the class.
I think I'm on lap 5 or 6. The car's pretty new to me still. I've done, I think, 3 or 4 events in it in the last sort of 2.5 years. Haven't raced for 18 months due to various things, this, that and the other. It's going really well. I haven't looked at my lap times at all yet. I've actually found it's better off not to look at it till the end of the day, because you end up pushing it too hard and then don't finish the event. But this event, I think, is very much about actually getting through it, getting through to the end, which that's my plan.
Aside from pace alone, part of the reason for that will be problems for this man, Bruce Mallet. Adam Beer alongside, they suffer a broken wheel bearing. The course here taking its toll on a number of crews, isn't it? They lose around 4 minutes, but thankfully they get it sorted and back out for the final runs. Bruce Tigwell was moving the right way on the leaderboard now, up to 7th place overall, 2nd in Class 9. The feeling in the car getting a little more comfortable.
Now I'm starting to get my pace, but it was tricky at the beginning. Just getting back into the rhythm of it, but it's very rough out there, so I've selected a higher gear, going in a higher gear than I would normally go, and just letting the engine do the work, and it's actually quicker.
And there's no change in the class for Daryl Hardy and Mary Ann Cannon, still leading the way in Class 6 and now up to 8th place overall. There are big changes in Class 7, which would see Gary Bully jump from 3rd in the class up to the class lead. This would be helped by problems for others around him, but the pace was still good, take nothing away from the man, lying in 9th place on the leaderboard. There's no change though for Tyler Skelly and Connor Maddock. They remain 2nd in the class, but now behind the new leader. The time's still close, just 26 seconds from the class lead. Kieran Jones and Lewis Thomas, meanwhile, would have a little bit of bad luck. They break down on the finish of the 6th run of the day. Does it get any more frustrating than the kill switch coming loose? Thankfully, they only lose a small amount of time to remain in the Class 4 lead. Nothing much would change for Roger Baker on these runs, remaining 2nd in Class 6 for now and in 12th place overall. And it's a similar story for Di Paul Hansen Phillips as well. 13th place overall, 2nd in Class 4. It's bittersweet this weekend for Team Tennant. They do manage to get the car sorted and get back out, currently lying in 14th overall and 5th in their class. Frustratingly though, it would all come to an end when they sadly run out of time to get their runs in, having to call it a day. Things had remained pretty steady for Adrian Beer through these runs. No change in position overall or in the class. 15th place overall, 1st in Class 1. And of course, all of that means, for the eagle-eyed among you will already know this, no change for Ashley Bartlett in the class either. The only one in Class 2, but now moving a good number of places up the leaderboard overall into 17th. Things were going well for Margaret Bakewell in the driver's seat meanwhile. For her and Tish Bradley, the car was performing well. It was suited to this kind of course and these conditions. They end the morning 3rd in Class 7. Luke Dodds and Andrew James, meanwhile, were finding the course tricky in this Freelander. The rough conditions not really suited to the car, if we're honest, but they were getting through and they were still going. 2nd in Class 1 for now, and no doubt thankful for small mercies. So with 6 of our 10 runs today complete, the results at the top of the leaderboard are looking like this. Well, what a weekend it has been back on the course of the AWDC. We're on to the final runs of the event here in Devon, and it would be an 18th place overall finish for Andy Kent, taking 3rd in Class 1 as well. Luke Dodds and Andrew James bring it home 2nd place in that class. The car did well, given that it wasn't really suited to the course, ending the event 17th place overall. And taking victory in Class 1 would be this man, Adrian Beer, keeping hold of that class lead throughout the event to take the class win. It was a fantastic first result for Margaret Bakewell and Tish Bradley. They take the Class 7 victory, happy with their performance and that of the car, and looking forward to the next event, as we all are. 14th place overall was about as high up on the leaderboard as Ashley Bartlett could have expected to make it. The earlier problems meaning a finish a little further down the results than perhaps he and we would have wanted him to be. Owen and Reece Timms will be happy with their performance this weekend, given that they've been out of the sport for so long. They take 5th place in Class 5 and they chalk up 13th place overall. There's no change for Roger Baker in the final runs of the day, remaining 2nd in Class 6 through to the finish and taking 12th place overall. The new car had gone well this weekend for Kieran Jones and Lewis Thomas. They were happy with what they got out of it, and they felt that there was more to come on the next round, which has to be good news for all of us, of course, with the entertainment out there on the course. 2nd place in Class 4, 11th overall to take away from the first round. After such a good start, and of course being promoted to the lead, for Mark Hones, the earlier issues that were being sorted in service didn't leave them enough time to complete all of their runs. It would see them with a maximum time, pushing them down the order, just clinging on at the end of the day to a top 10 finish, rather than that victory which was looking more than possible earlier in the event. Di Paul Hanson Phillips gains a place in the class this afternoon to end the event with the Class 4 victory and finishing inside our top 10 with 9th overall. And it was a similar story for Tyler Skelly and Connor Maddock as well. They step up to take the Class 7 victory this weekend in 8th overall after an enjoyable event. Things just hadn't gone to plan though for Mike Bakewell and Will Howe. They went too hot into one corner and parked the car in a tree. But worst would be to come on the final run when they lost the fan belt and had to leave the car parked to cool down. They take 2nd place in Class 9, 7th overall, and no doubt anything but cool inside that car. There's no change for Daryl Hardy and Marianne Cannon though. They reach the end of the event with the Class 6 victory. A good result for the pair, who take a solid 6th place overall to start the season as well. Some good times in the later runs would see Bruce Tigwell taking the Class 9 victory, as well as 5th overall, getting back into the swing of things by the second half of the day. Bruce Mallet and Adam Beer would be happy with their pace. They were only 4 seconds off of fastest time and felt that there was still more to come. They end the event 4th overall, surely hunting a podium on the next round. For now though, onto those podium places from this, the first round, and taking 3rd this weekend will be Stuart Williams. The times were consistent throughout the day, and things had gone pretty well out there on the course, taking 3rd in the class as well here at round 1. Chris Cumming and Fraser Parrier managed to get out in time to get some back-to-back runs in and finish them all to take 2nd place. A good result for the pair, and it just shows that Class 5 has certainly become one of the more competitive in the events overall as well. But that does mean that taking victory this weekend will be Paul Rowlands. The times had looked good and they were close throughout the day. The win though, well deserved. We had hoped to catch Paul at the finish, but he wasn't around for interviews. But we did catch up with a couple of crews to find out how their day had gone and get a bit of a flavour of this first round everyone's so pleased to be back at. Before we chat to those competitors, here's a reminder of how those overall results shaped up at the opening round of the 2021 Britpart Pioneer All-Wheel Drive Championship.
Yes, yeah, extremely pleased. Considering this morning we nearly put it in the back of the lorry and gave up. Yeah, thank you so much to Doug for lending us the part. And yeah, good result.
Yeah, it was a thoroughly enjoyable day, but it took a while to get into it. But I suppose everybody was the same. 6 months of not racing. But yeah, it started to flow towards the end, but very rough, but that's the nature of the course.
First event's been brilliant. Proud to be a part of it. It's nice to have been asked. Something that's been on my radar ever since we sort of started it, this sort of sector of the racing and the 4x4 racing as well, where we really want to be and be a big part of. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
So that's it here at round one. A great start to the season in terms of the action on the course and perhaps the names and the order on that leaderboard. Some good points on the board for many. We'll be, of course, back for round two, so keep an eye on our Facebook page for details of the coverage soon after the event. For now, though, it's good to be back out, isn't it? Thank you for watching.
Care 40 for Rateable Crest Titans.